Hello and welcome to Total Health with Dr. Nick, where my purpose is to inspire, empower, and motivate you to live longer, healthier, and more abundant lives. In this video, I want to talk to you about your GKI index. Now, first of all, what is that? Is it a TV show? Is it some kind of recipe, a secret formula, some kind of code? Who knows what the GKI index is? But I'll tell you what, you need to know what it is because it may be the exact reason why you're having trouble losing weight on the keto diet. So you want to make sure you watch to the end because I'm going to tell you exactly what to do about it, how to formulate it, how to figure it out to find out what yours is so that you can get the best results. So anyway, before we get started, I want to give a little shout out. We always do it because I want to celebrate our keto rock stars, our celebrities out there, if you will. And by the way, you're all celebrities. So just because I don't call you out, it doesn't mean you're not a celebrity in my heart. So anyway, this one comes from Nancy Archibald. Nancy writes, and by the way, before I even go over this, I want to say one thing. I don't want any of you to feel in any way that just because I don't do a shout out to you or because you're not getting the results, the same results as the people that I'm giving shout outs to, it's okay. You're doing great. You're running your own race. This isn't about comparing you to someone else, because the reason I do a lot of these shout outs is to show you what kind of adversity people have had to go through, what kind of obstacles, and they still persevere, they still get through. And that's really what it's all about, that you can do it too, because you might not even have half of the trials and tribulations and obstacles and walls to go over as a lot of these people do. So that means you can do it too, and that's really why I do it. So anyway, Nancy writes, I am down 106 pounds in 11 months with 20-hour intermittent fasting, which means she doesn't eat for 20 hours and then eats for 4. Well, doesn't really eat for 4, but she has a 4-hour eating window. So she might have 2 meals a day or 1 meal a day. One substantial snack each day. She doesn't really let me know what that is. She's 63 years old and she needs to take off about another 30 pounds. But now I've started working out at the cardiopulmonary facility. Wow, at 63, she's starting to work out. That is fantastic. Way to go, Nancy. I'm gaining muscle. Now, a lot of you may experience this if you're working out while you're on a ketogenic diet, which I recommend. So many times I hear people say, well, you know what, let me lose the weight and then I'll start working out. No. You can start working out right now. So go ahead and do it. You will burn fat and build muscle at the same time. It can be done. So she says, I'm actually gaining muscle and the scale won't budge downward. In fact, I've gained 5 pounds, and you will find that. Don't be discouraged. That's why I tell all my viewers, don't base things on your weight. Base it on how you look, base it on how you feel, base it on how your clothes are fitting you. Because if you're building muscle at the same time you're losing fat, you may not have any net difference. In fact, in Nancy's case, you could have a net gain. And you might think, oh my gosh, now I'm gaining weight. But that's okay. Muscle burns fat. Muscle needs to eat. It's thermogenic. It's going to burn fat, so don't worry about it. She says, I'm on O2, have an AFib, so she's on oxygen, atrial fibrillation, and will not do long fasts. That's okay. You don't have to do long fasts. Just do intermittent fasting. You don't need to do 24, 36, or 48-hour fasts. Really, nobody needs to do that. That's a little extreme, although I've talked about it. In fact, my last video I did. Each individual needs to educate themselves and listen to their body's clues or cues. It is the best anti-inflammatory way of eating and living we have. And I couldn't agree with you more, Nancy. You know what? You are an inspiration to so many. You are a keto rock star. And by the way, if some of you are still struggling out there and you need extra help, hey, raise your hand, reach out to us, email us, call us, set up a conference call. But also, too, some of you may not know of the new Ultimate Keto course that we created. It is by far the premier keto course out there. I'm telling you, you will be absolutely amazed with how comprehensive it is, how simple it is. It step-by-step walks you through the process. So if you need extra help, look for the link down below and you'll get all the help you need, I promise you. And we've got a great Facebook group, great community we're building with members that are just answering each other's questions. We're on there every single day answering questions, and it is just a great thing. So check it out, Ultimate Keto with Dr. Nick. The link will be down below. And once again, if you like what we're talking about, please make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. So let's go ahead and dive on in as to what is the GKI index. Well, the GKI index stands for the glucose ketone index. It's really the ratio. It's a formula of the ratio of your glucose to your ketones. So, very simple. The glucose ketone index is a simple formula that tracks the ratio of blood glucose to ketones as a single value. When you have this as a single value, you can then use that value to see exactly where you are. Are you in deep ketosis? Are you in slight ketosis? You might not even be ketosis at all. You may be looking at your blood ketone meter, take a look at it and you go, wow, look at me. It's 0.5, it's 1.0, I'm in ketosis. But guess what? You might not be, and I'll tell you why. That's why you want to watch to the end and see exactly what this GKI index is really all about, because it's a game changer, I promise you. As I said, but more important, it's a biomarker for tracking your metabolic health as well as your level of ketosis. So once again, you could be apparently in a ketogenic state where your body's supposedly burning ketones because ketones are showing up in your blood. But based on what your glucose is, you might not be in ketosis at all, and I'll explain how that works in just a little while. Glucose or ketone readings give you a snapshot of where you are at this exact moment, which means that they can be independently influenced by immediate variables such as stress. So if you have a lot of stress in your life, your body's going to secrete cortisol. You're going to have a lot more glucose in your blood. What if you're eating a lot more fats? Well, then you're going to have a lot more ketones in your blood. So your lifestyle is going to determine how you skew or how you move this GKI index. And that's important because once again, you may look like you're in ketosis, but you may not be. So how do we calculate this? Well, very simply, you take your glucose reading. Now, your glucose reading in this case may be 85. So 85, you then take it and divide it by 18 because what you're trying to do is you're trying to convert milligrams per deciliter to millimoles. Now, if you're outside of the United States, you already calculate it this way. In fact, it took me a little while to realize that when some of you from around the world were sending me your measurements and numbers, I was going, what kind of measurements are you using here? Until I realized that you already are in millimolars. So if you're 18, if you're outside the country, you don't have to convert this. If you are in the United States, you then divide it by 18 to convert it. And then you take that number and divide it by your ketone level. So if your ketone level in this case is 1.4, you divide it and you end up with a GKI index of 3.37. So once again, I'll go through it again. You take your blood glucose level. In this case, I put down 85. Divide it by 18 if you live in the United States. If not, don't divide it. You then take that number and divide it by 1.4, which would be my blood ketone level, beta hydroxybutyrate. And then I get a measurement right here, a value called the GKI index. Now, why is this so important? Well, how this works is this way. When your blood sugar is high, so you might have a blood sugar level of 110, your body might say, hey, you know what? There's plenty of sugar around. There's plenty of energy. We don't need to burn ketones for fuel. And so it stops the burning of the ketones. It stops the fat burning process. You want to make sure you get your blood sugar down because remember, one of the key things of how the ketogenic diet works is you want to keep your insulin levels suppressed. When you keep your insulin levels suppressed, your body turns to fat for fuel and you start to actually burn that fat off. And that's really where you want to go. So if your blood sugar is high, your body doesn't need to go to fat for fuel. It's going to keep burning those sugars and not turn to fat. So that's why you have to get this ratio right. So what does this look like? Well, when you take that number, that 3.74, and you plug it into here, you can see where you fall in. Are you under 1, which is extremely rare, and typically you might need medical intervention to get you to that? Are you 1 to 3? Are you 3 to 6, 6 to 9, or above 9? So what does that mean then? Well, if you measure anywhere from 1 to 3, you're a high therapeutic level of ketosis. So you're in a very high level. So if that number, when you divide it out, comes to 1 to 3, you're in a really good state for burning fat. If you're in a 3 to 6 range, like most people probably are, you're in a moderate level of ketosis. If you're in the 6 to 9 range, in other words, your blood sugar is so high and you're like basically 0.5 or you just got into ketosis, you're really not. So a lot of times we would look at a measurement and say, oh wow, it's 0.5, I'm in ketosis, I'm burning fat. Not really, because if your blood sugar is too high, once again, it's going to put you into this range where you're really not in ketosis or very, very low levels of ketosis. So if you're above 9, like you could be 10, 11, 12, upwards of 20, you're not in ketosis at all. So that's what you want to make sure. And how do you know that? You actually have to measure this. So what does this look like if we just saw some numbers? Well, if, say, for example, someone had a blood glucose level of, say, 96. Well, if you take that 96 and then you prick your finger and you also measure your ketone levels, and your ketone levels are 0.5, you're thinking, hey, this is great. I'm in ketosis, 0.5. Well, not really. When you divide it out, you end up at a 10.6. And 10.6 over here is well above the 9. You're not in ketosis at all. Why you're not burning fat? You're not in ketosis. You thought you were because you measured your ketone levels and it said, hey, 0.5 to about 3 is where I want to be. But the reality is you're not in there because your blood sugar is too high. So you're not burning fat. You're not in ketosis. What if you have a measurement like this? 110. So blood sugar is high, but now your ketones are super high too, 1.7. So now you're not just into ketosis, you're well into ketosis. Now, because your ketone levels are so high, that gives you a 3.6 measurement. So now you are in that therapeutic moderate range of burning ketones. So even though you're 1.7, you're thinking, wow, I'm really into ketosis now. No, you're in the moderate level because your blood sugar is still too high. Over here, what if your blood sugar level was 83? So your glucose is 83. Next, you measure your ketones and you're 1.0. What does that look like? Well, when you figure that out and do the formula, you end up with a 4.6. So you're in the moderate range over here again, in that 3 to 6 range. What if you were 85 glucose? And I'm just giving you some examples here to see how this all plays out. You're 85 in the glucose and you're 1.5 in your ketones. So once again, you appear to be well into ketosis here. Well, that divides out to a GKI index number of 3.1. So you're in exactly the range you want to be. So see how this all plays out? Very, very important that you know both numbers. So many of you out there are just measuring your ketones and not your glucose, and you really don't know where you are. Now, I'm not trying to make this all complicated and crazy sounding. Oh my gosh, I have to be measuring all this. But a lot of you are not using the diet just to lose weight. You're hopefully using it also to change your life, to change your mitochondrial function, to improve your hormones, to get rid of diabetes. Maybe you've got cancer and you're trying to get rid of that. So you really need to know these numbers, because if your blood sugar is too high, once again, you're not getting into ketosis. So you want to make sure you're checking your blood sugar daily along with your ketone levels. You have to do both. Now, how do we do that? The way we recommend it is always with Keto Mojo. Keto Mojo is by far the best. They have the best glucose and ketone monitors and by far the best pricing. So if you want to get one of these units, go ahead and order it. We have the links right down below. You can order it right off of their website. You'll get a 15% discount, but that's really the only way that you are going to know if you're really truly into ketosis, if you measure those two things. Ready? Blood glucose levels, ketone levels. You measure those two, divide it out by 18, then divide it by the amount of your ketones, just like the formula I showed you, and you will know exactly your GKI number, and you'll know exactly where you are in relation to ketosis. And that's the best way to do it. So guys, I hope this was good information for you. If so, like I always say, please make sure you like, you share, you comment, and subscribe. I love and appreciate you, and thank you so much. And once again, thank you so much for all of you who have already signed up for Ultimate Keto with Dr. Nick. You are absolutely blowing it out of the water. The comments I'm getting in our elite group on Facebook and so on are so good. They're so amazing. And you guys are crushing it out there. And I really, really love and appreciate you for that. Thank you so much for your trust and confidence. So, it's Dr. Nick. God bless. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.